Jamaica. Make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Over the past few years, criminal gangs have seized control of large portions of the country, particularly in the capital of Port-au-Prince. This rise in gang violence has deepened the humanitarian crisis in Haiti, severely undermined governance, and pushed the nation's already fragile economy closer to collapse. Many of these Haitians are fleeing their country, some of whom have landed in Jamaica. Does Jamaica have a responsibility to our CARICOM brothers and sisters to our east seeking refuge? Well, we discuss on Lead Story. It's time for Lead Story, where 20 Haitian refugees landed in Portland on Saturday and they're seeking asylum. However, by Sunday night, October 6th, the next day, of course, the group had already been repatriated, sparking outrage from rights groups. Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, and Stand Up for Jamaica, SUFJ, who strongly condemned the swift deportation, are arguing that once again, Haitian refugees were denied the opportunity to apply for refugee status. Attorney at law Melania Lean, head of Freedom Imaginaries, also raised concerns after being denied access to the refugees again. These refugees joined a growing number of over 130 Haitians who have sought asylum here in Jamaica, and this has been going on since July 2023. The human rights groups say that many of the migrants have been expelled without access to legal counsel or the ability to seek refugee status, in violation of Jamaica's 2009 refugee policy and a violation also of international law. But before we begin, let's take a quick look at what's been going on in Haiti, where we will see this from Al Jazeera.
Fleeing violence has become a daily challenge for millions of people in Haiti as gangs try to extend their control across the country. At least 70 people were killed in the town of Pont-Sondé in central Haiti by a gang known as Grand Cri, known for its cruel attacks on civilians.
The gangs arrived and killed people. There were a lot of victims.
The gang members reportedly set fire to at least 45 houses and 34 vehicles, forcing residents to flee their homes.
I have control of the situation at the moment. However, I caution people of the possibility of another attack. The police are in place and they told me they are ready to respond to another attack.
Since the killing of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse in 2021, Haiti has been in chaos, with gangs controlling over 80% of Haiti's capital. The United Nations has deployed an initial 400 men from Kenya as part of a multinational security control mission to assist the Haitian police. But for now, the MSS, as the mission is known, is underfunded and outgunned.
The Secretary General stresses the importance of the joint efforts undertaken by the Haitian National Police and the Multinational Security Support Mission. Those efforts need to be supported. Secretary General urgently appeals to all member states to ensure that the Multinational Security Support Mission receives the financial and the logistical assistance they need in order to succeed.
Haiti is struggling with violence and tens of thousands have been displaced. Half of the population is facing acute hunger, marking one of the highest rates of acute food insecurity in the world. People in the country are desperate for any type of assistance that for now is taking too long. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel.
So there you have it, setting context for our discussion, which we will be having with our guests who are joining us right after this break. Welcome back to Lead Story. It's a discussion about Haitian refugees here in Jamaica and the fact that we don't always keep them. The majority of them since 2023 July have been sent back to the crime-ravaged nation. And of course, we are going to be discussing this concern with Maria Carla Galata. She's the Executive Director of Stand Up for Jamaica, and Jade Williams is the Policy and Advocacy Specialist at Jamaicans for Justice. I understand we'll also be joined by Pascal Solage. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for having us tonight.
Good evening, everyone.
Absolutely. So many watching may be saying that Jamaica is faced with its own issues. Why then should we therefore be taking in refugees from Haiti? So we want to have an explanation as to that. So Jade, would you mind coming in and just explaining why?
Well, Jamaica would have signed on to the 1951 Refugee Convention, the UN Refugee Convention. And as a result of that, it would have given us obligations, like all the other nations that would have signed on, to take refugees in situations where there are humanitarian crises in the region in which they are fleeing. We would have codified to some extent that obligation in our refugee policy of 2009, which again gives us an obligation to allow for those persons who have landed in Jamaica to be able to declare their intention to seek refugee or asylum status. So it is not Jamaica has its own problems, why should we get involved? It is that we would have made a commitment to the international community that where these situations arise, we would be able to lend aid. Yes.
Well, Ms. Galata, what does due process look like for asylum seekers? What ought it to look like?
We have to look at the problem under two aspects. One, the policy papers and the international treaties, which are rulings in terms of migrants and refugees. Two, the humanitarian crisis. I think both of them require a different approach from Jamaica towards migrants. According to the international treaties, and Jamaica, as has been mentioned a couple of minutes ago, signed those treaties. There are requirements for those which reach Jamaica. First of all, they are supposed to be visited by an attorney at law. The attorney has the right to see them. And we are aware, and we know that Melini, which has been Alain, which is the attorney which has been trying to visit the places where we're detained, and by the way, they are not supposed to be detained, yes, was refused access to them. I think that that is something which should not happen. It is infringing the laws. It is a huge problem also because very often there is a language barrier because they speak French, they don't speak English. So the attorney should have gone with somebody as a translator. That is the first one. The second is an assessment, a health assessment, to figure out in which conditions they have been reached in Jamaica. In the groups that have been reached in Jamaica, there are children. The group which arrived in July had 11 children and women, pregnant women. All of that is part of the policy, which is assessing people to verify who they are. Assumptions that they are delinquents cannot be accepted as far as we don't have the evidence about who they are. There were some statements from the government stating that they might be delinquents. If they are delinquents, they need to be sent back. How do you know it if you do not assess them? You don't know who they are and the reasons why they came to Jamaica. There is also a health hazard because some of them might be sick, especially the children. The last team, not this team, the one which came in July, had several children which were full of bruises, scars, sores. Those things need to be taken in consideration. And the last element is why do we detain those people which are refugees instead of finding an appropriate place to be kept where they are free to move? because they are not inmates. They are free people, should be free people. This under the point of legislative treaties and legislative respect for international convention.
So I want to bring in...
If I may,
go ahead.
If I may say something else, the footage that you have been showing at the opening speaks by itself. It's a desperate situation. So if I look at the humanitarian side of this story, I really feel that we are behaving in an unfortunate way, because we see them killing. 3 days ago, they were killing dozens of people, and there were 6,000 people which have to leave the area where they were living because they were at risk to be assassinated. It's a crisis. I don't think we can ignore it, because officially Jamaica has done significant steps to ensure that the crisis in Haiti is going to be dealt with. But we cannot preach very well, and then if somebody desperate reach our beaches, we just send him back without any possibility to apply for the status of refugee.
I want to bring Ms. Salaj into the conversation. She is one of the activists in Haiti. As an activist, Ms. Salaj, could you just shed some light on what the situation is on the ground in Haiti at this time? How desperate are people to leave?
Good evening, everyone. We are in a crisis, political, economical, social and security crisis for years now in Haiti. For 6 months now, we have a new political transition in the country, a presidential council, and a new government of transition with Mr. CARICOM, and a presidential council of 7 members in the country after 3 years of the assassination of Jovenel Moïse. And this is a crisis in all dimensions in the country for now. By example, for now, we don't have elected officials in the country. We have a really high inflation in the country, and the security issue is maybe the biggest part of this crisis. By example, this week, a gang in Lotibonite, a department in the country, they killed, the last report today, they said that they killed 109 people in one night in Pont-Sondé, in Lotibonite. So the attacks of the gangs continue. The security issue is a really, really big part of this crisis. And for now, we have the multinational force for months now in the country. And I think Jamaica is supposed to be a part of this multinational mission. But unfortunately, the answers that we are expecting, the action that we are waiting as population, we can't see it now in the country. The gangs continue to take control of territories. They continue to kill people, to kidnap people. They continue to control the national wards in the country. For now, we have more than 500,000 of people in the street, displaced people because they have to leave their neighborhood, because they have to leave their homes because of the control of the gang on their territories. And those people, they are in the street, they are in camps, they are in the church, in the churches, in the schools and everything. And more than 50% of this population, they are women and children. And this is not a real safe space for them when they have to go in camps, when they have to stay in the street. For now, after the massacre in Pont-Sondé, we have 1,000 of people leaving Pont-Sondé to go in Saint-Marc, in another city, and they have to stay in the parks, in the street, trying to find place in the churches, in the school, because they have to leave their homes because of the control of the gang. And it's the situation.
If you could just hold 1 second, because we're up on a very quick break, but we'll come back and continue with the situation in Haiti.
The time by Grace. Taste that moves you is
6:45.
Fan Central Pitside, brought to you by HChem, AIM Financial Corporation, Texaco, and Connex.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
September 7 to December 14 on CVM TV.
Schoolboy Football, brought to you by HChem, AIM Financial Services, Texaco, and Connex.
Welcome back to Lead Story on CVM TV. We're talking about the situation in Haiti and the refugee crisis of sorts that's happening now in Jamaica and the Caribbean because of the situation in Haiti. So we have joining us Carla Galata. We also have Jade Williams, and these are humanitarian and advocates. We have Jamaicans for Justice and Stand Up for Jamaica, respectively, or the other way around. We also have Pascal Solage from Haiti. She's an activist there. So Ms. Solage was telling us about the situation on the ground, the dire need for help, and why people are fleeing in droves. You may continue, Ms. Solage.
Yes, absolutely. So I was talking about the many aspects of this crisis in Haiti, not only the political aspect, but the security issue, the economic aspect, because with this crisis, we have a lot of people, poor people in this country. They have to leave their homes, they have to leave their businesses, they have to leave activities with families and friends and communities to be in the streets. So it's really difficult for the population for now. And we can see what happened in many countries with Haitians trying to find safe space. We can see what happened now with Dominican Republic for a week now. We can see what happened now in the US. I don't know if you can see the images from Springfield and what happened with yes, Donald Trump and other, political actors in the US. And I think it's the same situation in other countries in the region and other region in the country, because Haitians are trying desperately to find safe space to save their lives in this situation. Many countries advocate to have the multinational force. The US especially for years advocate for having a multinational force because they think it will be the answer to the security issue in the country, and they put a lot of money. Last month they decided to ask if this multinational force can become a US peacekeeping mission because they're trying to find a way to make it work. But for years, activists like me and other activists in the country, anti-corruption activists, feminist activists, human rights activists, we advocate for years saying that it's more complex. The situation is more complex. It's a political crisis with specific issue like security. It's not only a technical security situation to resolve. So we have to find a way to resolve the situation in the political way. And we have to see, by example, the section saying the reality of the links between the political actors, the economic actors, and the gangs, because they want to control election, they want to control territories, they want to control traffic, they want control of many things in Haiti. And for that, they are using gang. Of course, we have gangs with autonomy, but it's a big, big platform network that continue to keep the situation in Haiti. So
how do they feel on the ground about the presence of the multinational forces? We have Jamaicans there, you have other nations also sending in troops. How are the people in Haiti responding to that?
I think the population was desperate to find a solution to this crisis, and they said, "Okay, we can try with the multinational force. We can try with this solution." But activists like me, knowing the reality, having experience with, by example, MINUSTA for years, having experience with other UN mission or other force in the country, we knew and understood that it can be the answer, and we advocate for having other kind of response to the situation. And for now, we can understand that after months, we can have the answer that we are waiting with the multinational force. And what happened Sunday during the week is an example about why we have to find another way to fight this situation. So the national police for now as big issue with this situation. The population are waiting for answers, are waiting for real action.
I want to bring in Ms. Williams, because while we understand the security aspect of it based on what Mr. Lodge is explaining, there is another argument that Jamaica and other Caribbean countries have been repatriating the Haitians because of the size, the 11 million people who are seeking to flee, and that could potentially be a deterrence to the influx, especially for smaller countries like Jamaica or other tinier nations. What do you make of that, Ms. Williams?
Well, based on the understanding that we've had in terms of the landings that have come to Jamaica, I don't think we've had more than 30 persons in a single landing. And as you would have said throughout the broadcast, most of those persons who landed were repatriated without assessment made to determine whether or not they were legitimate refugees. And unfortunately, there will be an influx. Jamaica is one of the closest countries to Haiti, and therefore would be one of the easier places for asylum seekers to go. But in line with our obligations under the Refugee Convention, there would also be mechanisms under that convention wherein other nations who have similar obligations and have less strain on their resources would be able to take on refugees that would have originally landed in Jamaica. And I think one thing that everyone needs to be clear on is that landing in Jamaica and getting refugee status does not mean that you have to permanently remain in Jamaica for the remainder of your life. There are mechanisms throughout the international and regional community to facilitate those persons who are refugees to be more evenly distributed across the nation to reduce the strain on our national resources. So I don't think that is necessarily an issue that we are contending with at this moment, considering we've done so little assessment as it stands.
Right. I want to bring in Ms. Galata, because as we get closer to the end of the program, how can Jamaica and other countries balance interests while protecting the rights of the Haitian people?
Well, it's a difficult task because it's understandable that there are some feelings of fear. People feel fear of a big wave. So as soon as they see the first 20 landing, people are on self-defense, thinking that next week there might be more. But there are some things which cannot be ignored. I was listening to Solange, and the picture that she had drafting about what's happening in the country. Let me think about a word, which is solidarity. Solidarity is a good word because it teaches everybody that, you might have your fears, but you also understand the fears of others which are in such a desperate situation. I think that a mediation needs to be found, assessment needs to be made, ensure that those which are coming to Jamaica are not part of human trafficking and other stuff. But once this is cleared, I think Jamaicans know very well what it means to be desperate, what it means to be poor, how many Jamaicans migrated in other places and have been ill-treated. I think that the word solidarity is going towards a humanitarian approach for a problem which is extremely worrying and concerning. So don't forget who we are, don't forget hospitality, don't forget that you deal with rules and regulation, but you also deal with human beings.
All right, I want to bring in the Haitian on the set. Ms. Solange, if you could just say what you believe would be the way forward for us as smaller islands and the people coming to these smaller islands. What do you think is an acceptable solution in 1 minute or less? We'd appreciate that so much.
Yes, I think we have everything we need in international law, in all the treaty we sign as country, the solidarity that we have to express between countries in the region, between brothers and sisters. I think we have everything we need to know how we have to express our solidarity to Haiti. Protecting your country, yes, but having solidarity with a country in this region facing this kind of situation. We expect respect, dignity, love from country as Jamaica or others, and we expect to work for having a better future for our country, Haiti.
All right, well, thank you so much, Ms. Solange, and all the best to you and the people of Haiti at this